So, it's the Joel Comm Show. I am he, because you're not. Somebody's got to be me. I may as well be me. And you should be you, because nobody's going to do a better job of being you. And I'm going to click the button to fire it off. And as we do, I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. His name is George Bryant, and George bills himself as a professional husband and a bonus dad and a family man. He's also a New York Times best-selling author, something he and I have in common, but I think his book is more important because if you don't have your health, you got nothing. And he's the best-selling author of the book, The Paleo Kitchen, and the creator of the wildly popular paleo food blog, The Civilized Caveman's Cooking Creations. He spent 20 years of his life in battle with his weight, and then he almost lost both his legs while in deployment as a United States Marine. Semper Fi, my friend, Semper Fi. George decided to take matters into his own hands. He began his paleo journey, and it started as a place to post recipes for his friends, but he's turned it into an award-winning food blog. He was a Marine for 12 years. Well, once a Marine, always a Marine, but he was active for 12 years. And he's enjoying full-time work creating delicious paleo recipes and hopes to change as many lives as possible by creating real healthy food. George, having a hard time seeing a picture from you, though. I know you're there. I know you're there, George, and we're going to get you in here. And I'm not sure what the technical issues are on his side. I've not experienced any issues with Crowdcast myself. This is the first time that I have. And there's George. How you doing, George?
Good. How are you?
Excellent. Good to see you, my friend. With a new haircut and a new hair color.
Yes, sir. We are rocking the blue for our baby boy who will be arriving here in October.
This is number
1 for me, number 2 for us. So I have a bonus daughter, which in my bio is where the bonus dad comes from, who's 11, and this will be my first son.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations, being the father of 2 that made it all the way through childhood and are now full-grown adults. I can tell you it goes fast, but it's a great journey.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm super, super excited. So it's my first. We're prepping. So we know it's a boy. His name is Branson Cruz Bryant. So we got some power in there. BCB. So we're excited, and he will be blessing us with his presence in October. And October seems to be our month. I proposed to my wife on October 18th. We got married on October 10th, and then baby Branson is expected to arrive around one of those dates.
That is fantastic. Well, there are those of you who are joining us and just checking here on Facebook Live right now. And George, feel free to go to my page, which is facebook.com/Joel Comm. And you'll see the video there, which you can tell your fans who will undoubtedly love hearing from you and seeing what you're going to prepare for us today.
I'm super, super excited. I'm going to share it right now. I already texted it out to our peeps, and so we're going to get going. So yeah, the technical difficulties, we had it working in the beginning. I do have the camera set up. So when we get to cooking, I'll try to switch to that camera, and then that way we can get everybody to see.
We'll give it a try. You know, the beauty of live video and being authentic with it is we're willing to experiment and try stuff, and maybe it works and maybe it doesn't, but whichever, we're gonna go for it because we are trendsetters, and you're a trendsetter in this live video space, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to prepare a dish, but before we do, let's just fill in a little bit of the backstory. Again, Semper Fi, thank you for your service to our country. I know you probably don't like revisiting the horrific parts of war all too much, but since it's part of your bio, how did you almost lose your legs?
Yeah, I actually, you know what, Joel, and I love what you do. And for those wondering, Joel and I think we got connected through Snapchat initially, and then started talking a lot more.
Our buddy Ryan Steinerson connected us.
Yeah, Periscope Ryan, Gadget Guy Ryan.
This morning, and by the way, I told him to try to come here because he wants to offer you a challenge. So we'll see if he makes it.
Got it. So yeah, so one of the things that I love that you say and I love that you preach, you use it in the live video space and technology. I use it in life, but one of my beliefs and core values that I teach all my students and everything else is that in order to genuinely grow in life as a lifelong student and be successful, authenticity, vulnerability, and transparency are the three ways to win. So every time I have an opportunity to share my story, it's another opportunity for me to step forward, go through whatever comes up, and work on my journey. So I love talking about my story and sharing. So my legs, there's an extended version. I'll give you the elevator pitch version. So growing up, most of my life was extremely overweight. And when I was 17, I wanted to run away. Very broken home, drug abuse, sexual abuse, all that stuff. And so I decided that the hardest thing for me to do would be to join the Marine Corps. And it was kind of I'm going to prove myself. And so I forged my dad's signature and I signed my papers to join the Marine Corps, went to boot camp, graduated, honor graduate, did the whole thing there. And upon that, I was in the Marine Corps for about a year, and I got my first deployment to Somalia in 2004, that lovely place on earth where they filmed Black Hawk Down. And I was there for 13 months, and I struggled very, very much with
Hey George, I hate to interrupt, but apparently some people are still having a hard time hearing your audio. Are you sure it's coming through the mic and not through your webcam?
I don't have audio on my webcam. I'll set up the mic again right now. I have it right in front of me.
And that's fine. We're good with technical stuff.
So I was putting a headset in, so there wasn't any feedback. But Crowdcast is not bringing up the settings window right now, which is what I'm working on. So I'd rather get the technical stuff fixed before. So right now,
well, part of it is that it's going to Facebook, and it's on Facebook. I'm using OBS. I'm going to turn down my mic.
Okay.
So those of you that are on watching on Facebook, just turn up your volume now, and let's see if that works.
Got it. Yeah. So so Crowdcast has it as my Yeti mic is picking up my volume loud and clear. So can you hear me, Joel?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. So I can use my Marine voice and put some pronunciation in there if everybody would like. So pretty much.
And of course, those of you that are, if you're on Facebook, come over to Crowdcast. It's comm.us/JC6. We'll take you right to the show.
Totally. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to go in what I shared on my page, and I'm going to actually put that link in to tell everybody to come join us there to fix all of this. That way we're 100% covered, and anybody who wonders can come watch us where they should be, which is on Crowdcast, right?
Yeah, Facebook is really, it's an afterthought. And even, even though Huzza has a native one-click, there's still these issues of re-pushing a broadcast elsewhere. And that's problematic. So until Facebook has the ability to do interviews like this, and that might happen soon.
Supposed to be coming soon, and that's going to be a major game changer.
Yeah. Okay, so
there we go.
Back to
I added that to the link, so hopefully that'll give us some more there. So now let me I can elevator pitch it some more. So I joined the Marine Corps. I had some Napoleon complex. My story in my life is that I was never good enough, and that if I wasn't good enough, people would leave me. That was my childhood. That was my paradigm. And joining the Marine Corps was a way to exacerbate that same story. The whole mission of the Marine Corps is you always have to be the best. You got to lead from the front. So when I arrived in Somalia, I was the lightest I'd ever been because the Marine Corps really whipped my butt into shape. And I, got down to 160 pounds. And while I was there, I had nothing but 13 months to eat as much food as possible and lift as much weight as possible with all the grunts and the people I was with. So in a period of about 8 months, I got up to 220 pounds of rock solid muscle. 5'7", by the way. So I was as wide as I am tall, and everything was great, except certain bodies aren't designed to carry that much weight, especially when you do it so quick. So I started, we would go out on missions, and I, typically 80 to 120 pounds of gear on. On top of that, it's 130 degrees out. So it's like a perfect disaster waiting to happen. And so what had happened was throughout the deployment, I noticed that I just had horrendous shin splints. They were bad and they were bad and they were bad. But, you tough up, you take some ibuprofen and you go through them. Well, I did that for a long time. And then one day particular, I was running to a helicopter to get out very, 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 very fast for safety purposes. And all of a sudden, my legs went numb. and it felt like they exploded, but then all the feeling went away, and then I passed out. And then when I woke up, I had a needle in both of my legs, and there was blood in a lot of places coming out. And they medevaced me back. And what I found out was happened, it was called exercise-induced compartment syndrome. And pretty much what that means is that in your calves, on your legs, you have 4 chambers or 4 compartments. You have an anterior, a posterior, and 2 overflows. Those compartments are what are responsible for getting blood into your feet and then circulated back up to your heart. Well, when you have compartment syndrome, the blood gets pumped into those chambers and it doesn't come back up. It just keeps getting pumped in and pumped in and pumped in because your heart doesn't stop beating. So what that turns into is that your legs go like this and like this and like this, and eventually they explode. And so the only way to fix it is to relieve the pressure with a needle, cut them open, things like that. There's 2 types. There's exercise-induced or there's traumatic. Soccer players or people with blunt force trauma get it traumatically. You can get it in your bicep, your forearm, your quads, or your calves. Mine was exercise-induced over time. So what they ended up doing was they released the pressure, and then in typical Marine fashion, they gave me some ibuprofen. They said, you'll be fine, go back to work. So I went back to work for 5 more months. And then when we came home, the day I got home, like literally the day I landed in Cherry Point, North Carolina, we were doing our post-deployment physicals, and they asked about my legs, and they said, all right, let's do an MRI and then some x-rays. Within an hour of doing the MRI, I was in a operating room preparing for surgery because I luckily had shot blood clots and none of them ever reached my heart, but I was on the brink of pretty much dying for about 5 months. So they started with one surgery, which is called a fasciotomy. They did a partial fasciotomy. It didn't work. And then after that surgery, they actually really look in and triage the damage. And they told me that they wanted to amputate both of my legs from the knee down. They said I would never walk again. They said I'd never be able to run again, that I would live in pain for the rest of my life. And so the only way to ensure quality of life and safety was to take my legs off. And I very politely and a lot of vulgarities told them no, which then proceeded to 4 more surgeries over the course of 6 months. I was sliced from ankle to kneecap on both sides of both legs. I spent 12 months in a wheelchair and 18 months of physical therapy, which is where I ballooned up to my heaviest of 260. And then in the end, they told me that now that all this has happened, I would no longer be able to be in the Marine Corps. They need to medically separate me. And that was my life. Like, that was my safety net. I didn't know anything else. I joined when I was 17. Like, it was like, this is my paycheck. This is my home. This is all I know. And I decided that getting out wasn't an option. And they said the only way I could stay in is if I did a physical fitness test, and I passed. So regardless of how I felt, I passed, and I started working and working and working. And from that point on, I ended up staying in for another 7 years, 2 more deployments. I made a full recovery. I ended up running a marathon. I did a half Ironman. I tied a world record for a standing box jump, and kind of turned my life around. And so that is the leg story. And so to this day, anybody wondering, I am a disabled veteran. I get disability. I have handicap plates on my car because I can't feel my legs from the knee down. So there's times I'm walking and I'll fall down the stairs. There's times my wife has to catch me. There's times where I can't walk because the pain is there, but I don't like to call it pain. I like to call it information. The whole thing of what you focus on, you get more of. And I'm like, oh, my body's giving me information. It's time to rest, or it's time to do an Epsom salt bath, or it's time to stretch. And so that's the story with my legs. So now it's a constant reminder of what is possible when you set your mind to whatever you want.
Dude, you much respect. You are a true American hero. You really.
So, and then in the midst of that, just to expand before we get deeper, just to cover it, and then during all that and the other deployments, I ended up getting traumatic brain injury because I suffered 7 concussions in 3 years from blasts and accidents and things like that. So I ended up at the 12-year mark where I wanted to be a Marine for the rest of my life. They medically separated me and said I was no longer fit for active duty. And so at 12 years, they said, you're done. They medically separated me for traumatic brain injury, PTSD, and my legs. And then that's when things really got to change and shift. And I had to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And luckily for everybody else, I decided that I wanted to teach myself how to cook to overcome my eating disorders and turn that into my life. And that's what I do now. And that's how I met Joel Comm.
And you've got your blog is very popular. And just so people know, here on Crowdcast, you can see that there's a link underneath the video. It says get a free recipe from George. And anytime you want, you can click that. It should pop open another window. I'm thinking it pops a different window, and you could find out more about him and what he does. So, George, you got on this journey to get healthy. And how did you discover the paleo diet?
Yeah. So when I was in Afghanistan in 2010, I really started taking my health seriously. I wasn't the young Marine anymore, but I had 60 Marines that worked for me. And I at the time, I was under the mindset that I had to lead from the front so nobody could beat me. Over time, that developed into I lead from the middle with my Marines. But I stumbled across CrossFit when I was in Afghanistan. And I'd never done it before. And I started doing it. And I'm like, wow, I feel great. Like, this is such a challenge. It's different every day. I love it. And with that, I decided that I needed to really get a handle on my eating. And I was bulimic for 12 years. And I really struggled with bulimia, orthorexia, anorexia, and a lot of different eating disorders. So CrossFit was kind of like a catalyst to like take a look at it. And then I started out there with Tim Ferriss, of all people. Awesome dude. I read The 4-Hour Body, and I was like, oh, that's a cool book. It's a cool principle. I did it for a couple weeks. And then what I realized is that philosophy of like then having my cheat days was increasing the likelihood of me relapsing into my eating disorder. And by accident, I stumbled across now a friend of mine. His name's Rob Wolf, his book, The Paleo Solution. I read it cover to cover in 2 days, and I don't read. So that's kind of a major compliment. And it made so much sense to me. And I was like, this is really, really simple. Like, I don't have to count calories. I can eat till I'm satiated. I can eat fat and bacon and meat and vegetables and all these things that I already enjoy. So let me do this. And secretly, I was doing it to really get a handle on my bulimia. And then publicly, it was really making a dramatic difference in my life. And so I started eating paleo in Afghanistan the best that I could. And in the 4 months that I did it out there, I got the first 6-pack of my life. Most importantly, it reduced my migraines. I was sleeping better. I had more energy. And I was like, there's really something to this. Like, this makes so much sense to me. And then after doing all the research and realizing how we've changed our food system since the Industrial Revolution and the introduction of like genetically modified foods and all these things, I was like, this is it. This is the ticket. And I continued to do it. And I made the decision that when I got home from Afghanistan, that I was committed to never, ever relapsing in my eating disorder, and that I wanted to live a healthy lifestyle and ensure that I was capable of having a family and having a child and like raising them and being here for the long haul. So I was still struggling with bulimia. And I said to myself, the only way that I'm going to be able to beat this is if I'm accountable. And I said, the only way I'm going to be accountable is if I make a commitment and I make it public. So no one ever knew about my bulimia. And I decided that I was going to cook paleo every day for 30 days. And I'd never cooked before. Like, I never cooked. And so I was going to follow recipes and I was going to post it on a Facebook page every single day. And I was like, well, I need a cool name for this. And so like paleo was taken, paleo caveman was taken. And then I somehow came up with Civilized Caveman Cooking Creations. I started a Facebook page and I started cooking other people's recipes and documenting them on Facebook. And that is where it all started and my paleo journey started. And that's how I learned how to cook.
That's awesome. So give us a synopsized version of what is a paleo diet? What's included? What can you do? What can't you do?
Yeah, I love that. And I love what you said. I love how you said what's included, because all too often I hear people go to the pessimistic view and like, I can't have this. And I'm like, no, you shouldn't have poison, but let's talk about what you can eat.
Well, you said bacon. So you had me bacon.
I did say bacon, and I'm going to talk. I need some water because hydration is key. I'm going to
go ahead. In fact, your shirt says bacon on it. I just saw.
Yep.
Whatever you're wearing.
This is one of our shirts. So what I call myself and my followers, we have the Hugs and Bacon Army and we have the Hugs and Bacon Tribe. So the Hugs and Bacon Army is like everybody who watches our live streams every day, who shows up, who plays the game. And the Hugs and Bacon Tribe is our membership community of people that are really out there making a difference, like living a hugs and bacon lifestyle. Like, I believe and I teach people that we can create world peace with nothing but two things, and that's hugs and bacon.
You already won me over, but now I'm yours.
So the reason I say this is what I've learned in my journey with paleo. And we have some tribe members watching right now. That's the hashtag. In my journey with paleo is that a lot of people in life, let's say society in general, a lot of people like to live in this black and white world where they want to be told what to do. Like, they want to be told what to eat, or they want to follow this diet, or they want to know how many calories they should have. And dogmacy is only sustainable for a certain amount of time before the world comes crashing down, because it's not a shift in your behavior or your lifestyle or even your subconscious belief system. It's just a set of rules to follow. So paleo, I love paleo. I love the name. I don't like the dogmacy. So what I tell everybody is that paleo is you get to eat foods that are single ingredient, in season, fresh, as local as possible, that teach you how to thrive with your health rather than survive with your health. Like, food is something that's supposed to be enjoyed. Food is the fuel that gives us life. It's the gas to our car. And it's the one thing in our life that the most people disrespect and take for granted. But yet you won't go put water in your gas tank and expect your car to run, but we'll put poison in our bodies and expect it to perform optimally. So paleo for me, as I want people to eat as close to the source as possible, but meats, fish, vegetables, fruits, things that are in season. And I just want people to avoid things that are not natural. So like gluten, grains, and traditional dairy. Raw dairy is okay. Grass-fed dairy is okay. But I want people to eat amazing things like bacon and steak and chicken and turkey and fish and salmon and tuna and every vegetable that you can imagine, and things that we are designed to eat. And through the journey of paleo and through the years, I've been doing this since 2010 or 2009, 2010. Everything's evolved so much to where we can literally create anything that you love that you used to miss or want to have in a healthier version that doesn't promote inflammation. And we know inflammation is the cause of most diseases, and horrible foods that we're not intended to eat cause inflammation. So we get to focus on eating foods that nourish and heal our body, as well as provide energy and sustenance for us to thrive. So yes, Joel, bacon, like a lot of bacon. I make my own bacon. And I love making my own bacon because you're totally in control of all the flavors and everything that comes out of it. But it's like, I think people tend to overcomplicate things. So what I like to teach people is what hugs and bacon means to me is hugs and bacon means is that every single journey is unique. Everybody's DNA, their makeup, their life, their story, their circumstances, their paradigm, it's all unique. And so I use paleo as like a getting started guide. Like, hey, come in the door. I want you to try this, and I want you to get a baseline. Like, let's get back to ground zero. And what that means is that if I can get you to eat clean paleo or go Whole30, which is just whole single ingredients, I want you to make meals that consist of like 2 vegetables to 1 protein, like tasty things, like delicious things, and just keep the gluten out and the grains out. What I have at the end of that is I have a blank slate of everybody. You have a healed gut. Your body is functioning optimally. You've turned yourself back into like maybe a minor state of ketosis, but you're burning fat for energy. Things are regulated, your blood sugar's regulated, and everything is set up to win. And then I'm like, great, now let's figure out what works for you. Maybe you miss dairy, so let's have some raw dairy or some grass-fed dairy. Let's start with butter. Or maybe you miss rice. Let's start with white rice and include it one thing at a time. And I'm like, let's come up with a template and a framework that sets you up to win, that's specific for your goals and your life. Now, what I find is that I like to call them the paleo police, and they like to attack people on the internet. And they're my favorite people in the entire world because I know when they attack me, it's because they're insecure about their own food choices and they really just want attention and help. And so when I have to look at it, people have called me the dessert Nazi of paleo. They tell me I'm making people unhealthy and all these other things. And I said, okay, great. if I can hand someone a package of Oreos or a banana bread donut like I'm going to make today, and my banana bread donut is made of 8 ingredients, which is just bananas, eggs, almond butter, and some coconut flour, I'm like, which one do you think is going to be better? So I like to tell people, for me, that I'm the paleo dessert guy, because paleo desserts are my gateway drug to get you into eating a healthier lifestyle. So I totally bait you. I totally set you up to eat all my desserts and enjoy them, so I can get you thinking about how you feel, how good they taste, and what other possibilities you have without grabbing the junk that does not support your health.
Bait me, baby, because I'll tell you, I am not in my peak condition right now. My eating disorder is that I'm a carb addict, and I love the breads, I love the pastas, I love the sweets, and I've never been a huge veggie fan. And that's challenging. I do love meat. Chicken is my favorite, poultry I can do all day long. I don't really care for fish all that much.
Me neither. I never eat fish ever.
Yeah, I mean, I could live on chicken and beef in pork. I'm good with that. I'll do some broccoli occasionally. Carrots are okay if they're softer, and cooked right with a little seasoning. But I'm not a big fan of, if I'm going to have a salad, it's usually a Caesar with, kind of a light dressing on it.
You don't eat fish, but they put anchovies in Caesar dressing.
Yeah, it's a little bit. Like if they ever lay them on top, I go, get those things off of there.
And one of the things too, Joel, for you, there's a couple things there. Number one, like you could totally eat a ketogenic diet. And that's including like you would be heavy on eating the meats, eating the fats, avocados, coconut stuff, macadamia nuts, things like that. And just supplementing with vegetables that you do enjoy, or doing what I do. And I like to sneak them in. Like I like to make things like purees or casseroles where they complement my dish, but they're not like, I'm not sitting there eating a plate of like steamed broccoli that makes me want to puke, right? Like I just come up with ways to set myself up to win, because I have to trick myself. And for you too, because I watch and you snap your food sometime, your 10 fast snaps and stuff. I stalk you, Joel, don't worry. But for you, when it comes
You're
to
not judging me, are you?
No judgment. It's the hugs and bacon world is a judgment-free zone. That's it. So one of the things that happens to a lot of people, like we call our, like you said, I'm a carb addict. Well, what that is you're actually not. Underneath that, you're a dysregulated blood sugar addict. And because your body is dysregulated and just a little out of whack, you have missignaling, and your brain gut connection signals things and cravings that sets you up to continue that cycle rather than get out of it to where it's regulated. And it's really interesting because when Lindsay got pregnant, I listened to society where they're like, oh, you gain sympathy weight and you're going to put on weight, right? And all the negative programming that our society has about pregnancy and weight gain. Like women have to gain all this weight and they have to be so uncomfortable. And then men have to gain this weight. And like Lindsay's gained like 17 pounds and works out more. And then now I've lost 34 pounds in the past 60 days because I'm like, I'm going to create a product called How to Lose Weight When Your Wife is Pregnant, because I can't stand the negative programming that society gives us. Like we're training people and creating these belief systems in people that when somebody does something, we have to do X. Or like when you hear women sharing about birth, it's typically like war stories, like so hard and it hurts so bad. And so Lindsay and I are doing hypnobirthing, and we're doing a home birth with a midwife. And everything we're doing is hypnosis every night. We're listening and doing like seeding and NLP for this is easy and the baby is excited and your body's designed to do this. And we avoid situations where it's negative, but it's the same thing with food, right? And so your environment will dictate kind of how you eat and how you're set up to win. And go ahead.
So here's a question. What about eating out?
Yeah. Totally attainable, totally fine. We eat out all the time. And there's always ways to win. Like Chipotle, easiest quick place in the world. In-N-Out, if you have them, we have them. You don't. I don't think you have them in Colorado.
It's okay. We have Five Guys.
Oh yeah. So Five Guys, you would just lettuce wrap, and like it's totally fine. You just have to make the choices. And here's where the adult game comes into play. I tell people this all the time. Everything in life is a choice. Like the one thing that irks me and tags me more than anything when people are like a victim to the food choices they make. And I'm like, listen, Nobody held a gun to your head and shoved the Twinkies or Girl Scout cookies down your throat. As long as you are in a victim mindset, you'll never have a different result. One of my famous quotes that goes viral every time we post it or every time I say it, and I came up with this quote, and I'm very simply, it states, you are not in a monogamous relationship with food. There is no cheating, only choices. And people take that and they think about it and they think about it. But my reasoning behind that is when you live in a place of choice, you live in a place of responsibility. When you choose, you get to choose the actions you take, which create specific results. But when you are in a victim mentality, you are out of control of your own life and things are happening to you. So you can't create different results. So one of the things that we do in our tribe, which is my membership site where I coach people, is I tell people I can teach anybody how to create breakthrough results in their life using nothing but food. If you want to lose weight, I can use food to teach you. If you want a promotion at work, I can use food to teach you. If you want to get in shape, I can use food to help you. If you want to be a better husband or a friend or a parent, I can use food to help you. And that the ideals are really simple. We practice food anywhere from 2 to 6 times a day. So if I can create a neuroassociation and a positive anchor around food and create a habit, a successful habit with you that develops a neural pathway to where you are keeping your word to yourself and following through with your commitments, how you show up in one area of your life is how you show up everywhere. And so I tell people, when I see you say to me, hey, I'm going to eat clean for 30 days and on day 7 you cheat, or what you call it, have a cheat meal, or you quit. It's the same thing if I'm your boss and you tell me I'm going to deliver you a project by day 30. I know day 7 you're quitting. Or if you give me your word that you're going to show up for a date and you don't show up, I expect it. Or if you tell me that I can trust you, I don't trust you because you're showing up and the results are dictated elsewhere. Now, our brains like to compartmentalize. We like to be like, I'm so great at work and I'm such a badass at the gym, but when I'm at home, I just don't eat right and I'm just not the best there. But if we were to get feedback from the 5 closest people to us, the feedback would be congruent across the board. Our brains in survival mode, living in a sympathetic state, teach us how to survive, and they justify things so we don't have to get uncomfortable. So I like to use food, amazing things like this, to teach people that anything is possible and you're responsible and your choices become your actions, but it starts with your thoughts and your relationship with food. So Joel, when you say I'm a carb addict, of course you're going to continue to eat carbs because the programming is I'm a carb addict. This is who I am.
Bread.
Right? And I am statements are the most powerful ones in the world, right? Just like I can say I am going to do good stuff, or I am good stuff, or I am a good person. And I'm using that as an example, I step into that power and become that person. And so everything matters with Joel's stuff and do good stuff. And everything is a choice. Like, we live in this world, and I know I'm kind of on like a little diatribe right now, but like this gets me going so much because I see it. I see people that suffer every day. I see people that suffer from depression or anxiety or food or weight gain or stress at work, right? Like, life is too short to be miserable, but there isn't like a magic pill. Like, everybody wants to pay for a course to fix something, or they want to buy a book to teach them something, or they want someone to coach them on something. And you can ask any of my members. I am very clear that I don't have the answer, but I'll be on the journey with you. I will be here to support you and stand side by side with you. And every step you take, I'll take with you. And when you don't think you can take a step, I'll help you see a possibility. But the answer is already inside of all of us. And there is no finish line syndrome. Like, there is no get there and it's going to be better. The beauty comes in the journey. We, as a society, like to deny that. And we like to think we're going to get there because it allows us to be disconnected from the feelings that we're feeling in life every day. But when we learn to embrace and accept the journey, that's where the growth happens. That's where the beauty happens. And it happens with food and mindset and fitness and you name it.
Inspirational, motivational. My guest is George Bryant at Cooking Caveman, and George is dropping some knowledge. This is the Joel Comm Show, and I want to do a quick shift here, George.
Totally.
How long are you going to need to prepare the dish when we get to that?
I set it up to be winning. So this is actually an award-winning recipe I have.
We're not ready to do it yet.
Nope, totally. I'm gonna prep everybody though, so they stick around and see it. So. Yeah. This is an award-winning recipe I have. it has been pinned on Pinterest over 1 million times. And
what is the recipe?
It is my paleo banana bread.
Okay. Donuts.
Yep. And so what we're going to do today is with this banana bread, and we're not going to do it right now, but I'm just going to prep everybody. You can make this banana bread in a blender, in a food processor, in a bowl. This one recipe can make you banana bread. It can also make you freeze and go waffles. It can make you pancakes. You can make muffins. I'm going to make donuts with it today. I've made cake pops with it. And this one recipe, without changing anything, can make all of those. And so what I did for everybody, when you do get that free recipe from George, what you get is this recipe plus the entire first 68 pages of my book, The Paleo Kitchen. And you get an email sequence of all my banana bread hacks, which are all the ways that I make this recipe to set you up to win.
So those that are on Crowdcast, you could see the link down below. It says get a free recipe from George. For those that are watching on Facebook, what's the website, George?
The website you can go to get that is thepaleokitchen.com, which will give you the book preview and will give you all of that. And my website is civilizedcaveman.com.
There you go. So let's do a shift before we get to the recipe, and stick around because you're not going to want to miss this. Is going to be so cool. Let's talk about live video and how you're using it to expand your reach and share your message with your audience.
Yes, let's talk about it. I love live video. And for those of you watching that have never met me or don't know me, it's August 17th. So I have been live streaming every single day on Facebook since April 2nd. And so I don't even know, April, May, June, July, August. I think we're on like 4 months right now. So live streaming for me initially, I was on Snapchat and I was using it and kind of getting into it. And then I love video and I know the power of video, and I do all my own videos. I record them, I edit them, I do everything. And video makes me happy because it's my PowerPoint. Like, I don't like writing, but video, I can express emotions. I can connect with people. I can be raw and authentic and vulnerable. And then this lovely platform called Facebook Live came about, and I had used Periscope, but I couldn't get into it. There were things that I didn't like. And I simply said to myself, in order for me to try this, I have to commit to it. So I'm going to commit to doing it every day. And I didn't give myself a number. And so I started live streaming on Facebook, and I immediately fell in love with it. And I mean, I have done 3.5-hour live streams of cooking marathons because I just can't get off. And I love that one-on-one on a massive scale, I answer every single question. I can teach people things in the meantime. I can give tips and tricks that I can't capture in video. I love the authenticity of it. I love the behind the scenes. Like, you're literally in my kitchen with me. Like, people have seen me drop things on the floor. People have seen me cut my finger with a knife. People have seen me fall. People have seen me not successfully complete a recipe. Like, people have seen the authentic piece 100%. This is what it looks like, and it's totally okay. And the love and the journey is in the messy details, right? Like, I tell people that life happens in the messy details, and that's what we use food for. So cooking is a journey, and it's an experience, and it's supposed to be fun. And the worst thing that can ever happen when you're cooking is that it doesn't turn out perfectly. And then we learn from it, we move on, and we recommit. And there's the amount of times that I've taken a recipe and I'm like, oh, I can't eat this. And then I've like blended it up and hid it in something else. Like, I've like put cheese and sauce on it, and I told my wife, I'm like, this is exactly how it was supposed to taste. Or I've then thrown it in the crock pot and made a soup out of it. Like, it's just all about the experimentation and fun, but it's like that inner child in cooking. And I have this whole speech on cooking, but we'll talk about live video. I love live video.
Do you ever, I'm going to reroute a second because I just have a personal question. Have you ever thought about opening up your own restaurant?
I thought about it, and I very quickly unthought about it. So I have a couple friends that own their own restaurants. Right. And you know what it is? Restaurants, I think it's amazing. People that run successful restaurants are machines, in my opinion. They are just, I have so much respect for them.
Long hours.
Long hours, totally. Sacrifice, I mean, on their feet all day, nonstop. And for me, like, I don't even like scheduling my live streams because I live stream based on like my creativity. Mm-hmm. Like, it'll be 9 a.m. when I feel like cooking, or it's like sometimes I'm live streaming at 9 p.m. because I get like a craving and I want to make something, or I've even live streamed at like 11:30 at night. So I love the freedom. And here's the honest truth. This is what I tell people. I post recipes online. I made an app. I made a cookbook. So I don't have to cook for other people. I teach you how to cook for other people.
I love it. And, the fact that you're using live video so much makes you, it shows that people talking live that are doing live video aren't just talking about live video. You are in your very specific niche, demonstrating for people how to create these healthy and nutritious dishes. And there's a lot of people like that. And I think it's important to bring those people into the world of those who are producing live video to show them, look, you can do anything. You can show the world whatever your passion is, whatever knowledge you have, whatever talents or skills that you can put out there using live video. And of course, this is still ramping up. I believe that we are still in the early adopter phase, not the pioneer phase. Pioneering was the last few years. Now we're in the early adopter phase. In 2017 and into 18 is going to show us mass adoption. It's going to explode. And TV as we know it is going to be transformed, and the lines are going to become more blurred. Those that are producing live video are going to start showing up on our smart televisions. And I think you're going to be one of them, George.
That would be amazing. You know what? One of the things that I tell people all the time, Joel, what I love so much about live videos, like for years, everyone's like, you should have a cooking show on the Food Network. And I'm like, yeah, but you guys know that the Food Network cooking shows are all run by crappy sponsors who promote GMO food and junk for people. And it's not really like sustainable. Like it's not healthy for people. And I'm like, to get a gluten-free show on there, never mind even a paleo one, it's going to take some massive political stuff. And then it's still regulated. And what I love about live video is I tell people, I'm like, it's like the Food Network with questions and no filters. Like we can do whatever we want and we can show up every day and there's no commercials. You can DVR me if you want to, because there's even a replay feature. But what I love, Joel, and I love what you do, but what I've figured out is that I've known this as a long time as an entrepreneur, right? People don't buy products, people buy people. And people don't connect with products, people connect with people. And what live video has allowed me to do at scale, and even not at scale sometimes, is to be okay being myself 100% of the time. Like no makeup, my hair's not done. I just got home from the gym. My hands are ripped. I'm sweaty, but I still get to be on here and I can authentically add value to somebody's life without it being predicated on how I look or how packaged it is or how polished it is. And there is a place for that, but some of the interesting feedback that I've gotten, and I don't know if I shared this with you, but in my journey, Facebook live stream and all the other platforms, I've gone straight up gangsta phone, no microphone, no lens, nothing, to use cast and use 3 cameras and cook and all this other stuff. And every time I get fancy, everybody asks for one thing, and it's to go back to just the phone. Because they like the authenticity of it. They like to know that like I just turned it on and it's in the moment. It's not this overproduced big production where there's all these moving pieces. They love the simplicity of it. And what I'm told by my audience is that it makes it approachable. It makes it relatable. And the other thing,
there's a small group of people in the live video community that think that what many of us do is amateurish because we're not using the high-end professional. We don't have the lower thirds. We don't have the green screens. It's not a production that would be television quality. But there's a reason that people are tuning out of television and choosing to watch this right now. You could be doing anything right now here on Crowdcast or on Facebook, and I'm watching, you're here, you're watching this because this is real, and because we don't seem like 2 talking heads that are off in some production studio, but 2 real people that you can relate to. Isn't that what it's all about?
Totally. And I love how much you like teach people about live video and like what you're doing. Like, I mean, you've been a pioneer in this space forever, like everything technology front and everything there. But I've learned so much about myself in this journey, and what I feel like, and especially you have a lot of entrepreneurs that follow you, have a lot of people that are learning and things like that. And one of the things that I hear all the time in all the live stream groups I'm in and everything else, one of 2 things. Number one, I've had people tell me I'm crazy and things won't work, and then I love proving them wrong. And then number 2 is people like, but what do I have to offer? Or I only have 2 people that watch me. And like, here's what's funny. I have 265,000 fans on Facebook. I've had live streams with 2,000 people, and I've had live streams with 11 people, but it doesn't matter. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, if it's not this big number, it's not going to make a difference. Well, success in this world comes from consistency and commitment and showing up. And listen, if you're one of those people that are like, I don't want to do live video because of the numbers, you'll never get the numbers. Like, every single journey starts with a single step, and it's not about the numbers. I will tell you that right now. My tribe knows, my fans know. I literally live stream every day, and it doesn't matter how many people are on it. And I'm like, oh, if I live stream every day, my numbers will go up. I'll have millions of people watching me. But it doesn't matter, because at the end of every day, I lay my head on the pillow and I'm like, I dropped a knowledge bomb that allowed me on my journey and my path to share my life and hopefully inspire and empower somebody else to make a difference. And I swear, every human being has a unique message that this world needs to hear. And maybe live video is not for you, but you don't get to say that unless you try it for at least 60 days. Like this whole, I did it once and I didn't like it, or I did it now and I didn't try it. Like, listen, this is what I tell you. This is what I tell everybody. I feel like if you have a story, if you have a journey, if you have anything that people come to you for and ask you questions about, if you do not share that in every capacity possible, you are not only selfish, but you're doing a disservice to the planet, because you never know how far that water ripple will travel. And I say this all the time. It's as very simple as opening the door for somebody. You never know if the person that you opened the door for and said good morning was going to go home and end their life, or was going to go home and hurt somebody else, or was going to go home and quit their job. And you could literally change their day, which would then allow them to be sweeter to their children, to be a better husband or wife, to be a better employee, to make a better decision, or to cure cancer, even though I know that already exists. But like, just an example like that. And those people that had doors held for them, and those people that were complimented and supported by good people like Oprah and Richard Branson and Deepak Chopra and Brene Brown and all these leaders of the world, all put their pants on the same way that we do every day. The difference is that they're vulnerable and they're committed and they show up consistently. Like, none of them were overnight successes. Like, none of them were born Oprah. Like, none of them were born Richard Branson. Like, he was piss broke and bought an island before he could even afford it. And now he owns 10 separate billion-dollar companies. And it's just about showing up and being authentic. And here's the truth. For those of you wondering, your live streaming isn't about other people. It's about your journey and authentically growing on your journey and your path. And you'll find more growth, and I want to say surrender and connection and internal growth, and like understanding your paradigm and your choices from live streaming and sharing with other people than you will about making a difference. But your inner journey and being vulnerable and authentic is what will change the world. So everybody needs to live stream.
Huge. Yes, hands in the air. I'm with you. Great inspirational message, George. Okay, one quick question, and then we're going to jump into this award-winning dish of yours and blow everybody away, so you can prep for that.
Yep.
I enjoy, and I've been through a period of detoxing before from sugar. And one of the ways I did that was to make sure that I had something, and I've gotten in the habit of having dark chocolate, 70% every day. Can I still do that?
Totally.
Right.
I would go darker though, and it depends on the brand. I can send you some of my favorite chocolates that I use. And then because there is definitely a quality difference. So there's actually a ton of paleo companies and paleo chocolates that exist. One of my favorite chocolate companies for everybody is Alter Eco. And they're in every store in the planet. They are an amazing company. They give back a ton.
What's it called?
Alter Eco. So ALTER and then Eco.
Dark chocolate. And you say go darker than 70%?
Yeah, their 70% is good. But the reason I say that is because if you don't know the brand and the source, and you're getting like a 70% or a milk chocolate, you get additives and fillers that don't have to be on the label.
Right, like Godiva and Ghirardelli
Totally.
and all that.
All that stuff is junk. It's junk. And transparency, like everybody, like I just want to be clear with you, chocolate is made from a cacao bean, and that's it. That's chocolate, right? So when you have an ingredient label that has 28 or 40 ingredients, that's not chocolate. Chocolate can be made, like stone ground chocolate can be made with like 3 ingredients. So you don't need the rest of it. But Alter Eco, and my one of my team members just posted the link for you guys. Alter Eco is one of my favorites that I work with. I'm working on some recipes with them, like a chocolate molten cake, a paleo version, and a couple other things. But there's one.
What do you think of green and black?
I have them and I use them. They're okay. They're totally.
They are in every store. I've not seen Alter Eco, but I see.
Yeah, green and black is one of those. They're a safe option, but if I had a choice, that's not like who I would buy in a comparison to another one. But I do use those. Green and black is what I use when I have people. I'm cooking for people that don't really care about the quality, so I'm not going to use my best stuff on them, but I still give them a better option. So I totally filter what I use. So
all right, let's do this. Let's
all right. So
other camera and let me scroll down here and let me find it on here.
Yeah. Well, no. So my other camera's on the same computer, Joel.
Okay.
I'm going to swap it on this computer so we can just use that camera.
So I don't need to invite another person?
You don't need to invite another person. I'm just trying to get, I hit the settings button about 7 seconds ago, and for some reason, Crowdcast is still loading the settings window. So we're going to try this once or twice.
Okay. Well, we'll see if we can make this work. If not, just point the camera at the food and we'll do it. But George is going to make a banana bread donut recipe here that can actually be repurposed. What if I don't like bananas, George?
Then I have tons of other recipes, Joel. I got 480 recipes for you, but the banana bread is the world famous one. And I'm telling you, it's not like you don't get like a banana taste. Like it's not like, oh, I'm eating a banana. You get like all.
I would try it. I would try it. I would try just about anything.
You get all these nuances in this banana bread, and any of my team members or people that have made this recipe, like you can go so far. I think I have about 10 or 12 different variations on how to make just this one recipe. And like we have everything from the recipe that everybody's getting below is the chocolate cinnamon swirl banana bread. I've done a salted caramel. I've done a bacon bit banana bread. I've done.
For a second, I'm assuming you're trying to get that other camera on. So let me know if you need me. Type in the text if you need me to re-invite your account. And I can do that. We're trying some new stuff here. The way George is set up is just he's got one laptop that is there in the room, and he's trying to run multiple cameras from the one so that we can show you what's cooking in the George Bryant Civilized Caveman Kitchen. By the way, you can follow George on Twitter. On Twitter, Civilized Caveman is too many characters. So it's at Cooking Caveman to follow him on Twitter. And of course, you can just go to Facebook and search for Civilized Caveman, and you will find his page where he broadcasts on Facebook Live on a daily basis. Also, if you're following us on Crowdcast, you'll see right underneath me, there's a green button that says, get a free recipe from George. That'll take you to his site where you can get this recipe he's going to be sharing today. If you're on Facebook, then thepaleokitchen.com is where to go. And, here on this show, I like to bring you content that is related to live video, but it's not always going to be about live video. It's going to be about the people who are using live video to impact their world. George, how we doing? If you need to message me on Facebook to tell me what's going on, or to let me know here. Thanks for that link, Scott. Twitter.com/Cooking Caveman, or just at Cooking Caveman on. Let me go ahead and I'm going to invite both of those accounts again, George, and you can pick whichever one is the one that's needed to get you here on screen. Because I know people are like, now they're drooling. They're like, where is the banana bread? Now, all this content is great, but dang it, we need banana bread now. While George is getting himself back on here, let me tell you guys about upcoming show a week from today, which is going to be Wednesday, August the 24th, I will be live with Brian Fanzo, how to build and support community. For those of you watching on Crowdcast, you can see this image forward, but if it's on Facebook, because I'm grabbing from my screen, it's backwards. So watch what happens. I click and I flip it. Now it's backwards for those of you on Crowdcast, but it's forward for those of you on Facebook. So we got to go in this way and that way. Anyway, if you go to comm.us/JC7, because it's my 7th episode on Crowdcast, comm.us, comm.us/JC7 will take you directly to this show page. And I hope you will join myself and iSocial fans a week from today at 4 o'clock Eastern and 1 o'clock on the left coast. George, what's happening, buddy? I know you're, I've re-invited you to the broadcast, but there may be some bandwidth issues. For all I know, one of his computer might have blown up. Let me take a look at questions. I'm going to scroll down here for a moment. And let's actually do a quick poll. I'm going to create a poll. And those of you on Facebook will be able to, you might be able to see as I scroll down here, have you tried a paleo diet? Yes, I love it. No, but it sounds interesting. Okay, so if you're on Crowdcast, you'll see that this is a simple poll which people can answer on the fly. If you'll click below, you'll see polls, and you'll see that you can vote on it. And again, watching on Crowdcast, you'll see the answers coming in like this, and how people are voting. We'll let that go for just a moment while we're waiting on George to come back in here. I'm interested. You know, I've been thinking a lot lately. A few years ago, many of you might have watched as I dropped a bunch of weight. I lost, 55 pounds, and I was eating a healthier, no carb diet. And then, I started getting back into bad habits again, and I probably need to lose 20, 25 pounds again. And I've been feeling it. I'm going to be honest. I've been feeling the extra weight on me. And, when you're living in Colorado and you're already a mile high and that much, less oxygen, it gets more challenging. And so I'm getting in the mindset of, okay, it's time to once again make that decision. And what George said is really important. It's a matter of deciding that that you're going to do things differently. And it all begins with that decision. It all starts with that choice to say, here's how I'm going to do things. You can't say I'm going to try to lose. This is why this is why New Year's resolutions usually don't work, because people say I'm going to try. Well, Yoda, once said it. There is no try, only do. Right, and that's all the impressions you're going to get today. Trying is setting yourself up for failure. I'm going to try to quit smoking. I'm going to try to lose weight. I'm going to try to go to the gym. Trying doesn't ever work. Doing works. I am going to. I am. It is a decision that starts here. And that when you have made a decision, when the option comes up, when the thought comes in your mind that I'm going to do this differently, then you go, wait, that's not an option because this is what I've decided to do. Welcome back, George.
I have a computer, but we are good.
Okay. What I'm going to do for you to demonstrate this banana bread is I'm going to let you go live screen, and I'm just going to be here drooling and commenting.
Yeah, no worries. So just give me 1 second to finish getting this set up. Because
okay, so we're not just going to look at
the laptop shuffle.
The laptop shuffle.
So, so you keep talking. I'm going to get this set up. My audio good?
Yeah, you sound good. The hugs and bacon. I was getting to preaching over here, just kind of.
I kind of heard you. I loved your Yoda quote, and I love that. I could talk about mindset all day. My tribe will tell you. You know what, Joel? I want to extend a free membership into my tribe for you if you would like to come in.
Oh, accepted. Thank you.
I would love to have you, and everybody else would love to have you, and bring a little different perspective. And, we're all about doing good stuff.
Consider me had. And George, you're going to send me your mailing address and the size of t-shirt you're wearing, and you will be the recipient of a Do Good Stuff t-shirt.
I already sent you that. You were supposed to send me that a while ago.
Wait, you know what? I may have. So if you sent it to me and you never got it, then that's a problem. So
that is
Joel, you're going to send it to me again. We're going to confirm the address. You're going to tell me your size, and I'm going to personally handle it.
Joel does need a bacon shirt. So Joel, I just want you to know my entire clothing line is all Hugs and Bacon Army. Like my entire wardrobe is Hugs and Bacon Army. So we actually have one that says #Hugs and Bacon, and then it has a pig nose and a heart.
Okay, I have to see your other shirt. Sounds great.
I'm gonna actually send you a link and let you pick, and we'll trade. And then here's one of my hoodies. And so my team will tell you, we got the baseball shirts, the good shirts, the long sleeve shirts. So yeah, I don't know. Just for everybody's technical glitch, I'm literally using an older laptop with 87 times more windows open because it's my wife's, and Chrome was just tweaking on the last machine. So we are good. So
all right, are you ready?
I am going to be ready. Yeah, I'm ready, and I can cook all day and talk all day.
Okay, so I might want to edit this piece into its own thing. So for the sake of that, I'm going to do a re-intro here, and then I'm going to put you on full. So you ready?
Yeah, just I'm just gonna move this camera back a little bit more so my blue mohawk gets to be in it.
Yes, please. We need to see the blue mohawk.
And then I'll just. You know what? One thing too, technologically, Joel, because you love tech stuff. I forgot to set this up, but one of my gimbals, I actually have a remote for, and I set it on my tripod, and then I use the gimbal remote to move the camera to follow me in the kitchen.
Did you get a Mevo?
No, I didn't. There was one or two things that I didn't like about it. I think the audio was one of them. And so I was waiting to see what they do to rectify that, because audio is huge for me.
The audio is an issue. Okay, so let's do this.
Oh, yeah, let's go.
Joel Comm here with George Bryant, the civilized caveman, and he is going to bring us his award-winning banana bread recipe, which can be apparently repurposed in a number of ways. So, George, take it away.
Yes, sir. So thank you, Joel, for having me, and thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm super excited about this. So, as Joel said, my name is George Bryant, also known as the Civilized Caveman. I pride myself as being a professional husband and bonus dad first, then a New York Times bestseller, cookbook author, and all those things. So what we're about to make is actually one of the fastest and most delicious recipes that you can ever have. So this is my award-winning paleo banana bread. 8 ingredients. I have them all memorized with unlimited combinations, okay? So basically, I'm going to be making this for you. I'm going to walk you through the process, and I'm going to tell you the stuff to have. And also, we can give you this recipe and a preview and all my other banana bread hacks at thepaleokitchen.com. So basically, banana bread is a simple recipe. You need bananas, and then you make it into a bread. But this is a healthy version. There's no gluten, there's no grains, and there's no dairy. And there's actually no added sweetener unless you choose to do it. Now, I add it for my wife because my wife loves sweetener, so I use a coconut sugar, but you don't have to do it. And this recipe can be made in one container. I use a blender. This is my Blend Tech. Or you can use a food processor, or you can use a bowl and hand mix it yourself. Personally, I love how fast this is. We timed it the other day. I can make this entire recipe and get it in the oven in under 6 minutes. So to get started, I'm going to run over the ingredients with you real quick. So you're going to need 4 bananas, and then you're going to need 4 eggs, and then you're going to need a half a cup of almond butter. You can also use cashew butter, coconut butter, just no peanut butter. Peanut butter and peanuts are one of the most toxic foods on the planet. Then you're going to use a half a cup of 4 tablespoons of melted butter or coconut oil, and then a half a cup of coconut flour or almond flour or cassava flour. All these substitutions are in the recipe. And then some baking soda, baking powder, sea salt, some cinnamon, and some vanilla. And this is for the basic version. And then for the chocolate cinnamon swirl, we'll swirl in. But because I'm doing this a little differently, rather than making the bread, I'm going to make banana bread donuts, and I'm going to put a chocolate frosting on it at the end, and then I'm going to use the extra batter and make some turnovers. So to get started, this is really simple. We're going to go 4 bananas in the blender. So we're going to pop these in. And one of my favorite things about this recipe is your bananas can be yellow or they can be a little ripe. Doesn't really matter. The riper, the sweeter it'll be if you're not going to add any sugar. Which is awesome. So it's completely up to you. Now, what Joel was saying is one of the ways to repurpose this recipe is I have an 11-year-old bonus daughter, and she always wants things different for breakfast, or she wants certain things to go during the day. So what we do is we actually make this recipe into either pancakes or in the waffle maker, and then we freeze them individually. And then when she wants them, she pulls them out and puts them in the toaster oven and has Lego Eggo breakfast waffles that are completely gluten-free, grain-free, and dairy-free, okay? So I got my 4 bananas in. I threw my banana peels on the floor. No, just kidding, there's a trash bag down there. Now I'm gonna crack my 4 eggs. So 1, 2.
Not gonna put the shells in, huh? Okay.
No shells. I mean, we could use the calcium, you wouldn't know. This blender would pulverize them beyond belief. But we don't need that extra calcium. But if you want some texture or some crunch, feel free.
I do have a Vitamix, George. I need to put it to use.
Yeah, so this is a Blendtec. So I actually do not like Vitamixes. That's my personal opinion. Primarily because they lost a $20 million lawsuit to Blendtec for patent infringement.
Oh, well, there's that.
So there's that. So I got my 4 bananas. I got my 4 eggs. Now I'm going to add my half cup of melted butter. Now I use grass-fed butter or raw butter. This is raw butter from Organic Pastures, which is the only dairy we do. And I'm just going to use my finger to get the rest in there because this is where flavor comes from. It's come from love, licking spoons and spatulas. Just how it works. And then now I'm going to add my almond butter right here. And this almond butter is homemade, was made in the same blender. So this is my almond butter. And then now I'm just going to add my pinch of vanilla now to get it in there. So when you're working in like a blender like this or making your this is a teaspoon, by the way, or making your batter, I always get my wet ingredients nice and mixed, evenly distributed and ready to go.
Those bananas, I'm assuming, are organic, yeah?
They are organic. Yes, they are. So this is going to get really loud like a jet engine for about 10 seconds. Wait for it.
All right, crank it up. Looking good. So far, easy. Anybody could do this. Nothing challenging here.
So that is the base of the batter. And my blender just said, congratulations, you've reached 300 blends. I'm proud of myself. I've reached 300 blends. So now a couple tips. If you've never cooked paleo before or you've never used an alternative flour like coconut flour specifically is a moisture hog. So it's a desiccated coconut. So the process and how it's made removes all moisture. So when you add it to a recipe, it starts to rehydrate itself. So the key to working with coconut flour is to work quickly. So it's actually one of the last ingredients that I add. And I add it when my pan is ready and the batter's ready to go in to ensure that it doesn't dry out the recipe too much. If you let it sit on the counter, it will make a brick out of your batter. And so, I mean, you don't have to do it in like 7 seconds. You have, 10 minutes or so. So just be very present to that you don't set it aside and forget about it. So now all my liquids in there, I'm going to add my cinnamon, which is a tablespoon of cinnamon. Then this is my baking powder, baking soda, and sea salt. And I'm going to add that in. And then Joel, I'm going to ask you to talk for a minute while I go grab the coconut sugar.
All right. So George is showing how easy it is to make a dessert. So it's kind of like his gateway drug into the paleo diet. A lot of us who want to eat healthier also don't want to give up some of the things that are familiar, sweet tasting, and satiate us in that way. And so George, being diabolical and loving at the same time, is showing how you can make something that is sweet and delicious. And maybe that will open up our minds to go, okay, so if I can eat this instead of Oreos or donuts from the grocery store or whatever, what other changes can I make that would allow me to have a healthier and more nutritious diet? Okay, so what have you got there?
So actually, in speaking of the chocolate company, I decided to grab the Alter Eco organic muscovado cane sugar. So this is fine. It's organic. I'm using this for my wife because I'm not going to eat this. But Alter Eco makes a whole line of amazing sustainable products. My favorite thing is like on the back of all the bags. This talks about the Philippines' sweetest rewards, how their co-op has built houses for 653 families and saved 500 acres of reforested eco reserve. So just kind of a good mission to get behind, and their products taste amazing. So I'm going to add this in for my wife. I'm doing like a third of a cup because this is going to be a pretty big recipe. And so one of the things that I will tell you about this recipe, and if you read the comments for this or anyone on the website, most people use this as a transition trick. They'll make it for their husbands or their wives or their kids that like don't want to eat paleo, and they never know it's paleo. It's so good, it tricks them all. So now I'm going to just blend in the last of the dry ingredients, prep the pan. We're going to add the coconut flour. Then we're going to make the donuts. Time to make the donuts. And then we're going to do the little popover. So this pan is like a muffin pan, but I'm using it because you can see this little well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bake in here. And then when they're done, I'm actually going to flip them over and I'm going to make some sort of like frosting, or I'm going to make a whipped cream for it later and like put whipped cream on the top. So now let's blend this.
Will it blend? Yes, most definitely. George, how old are you?
Okay, blend done. The last thing I'm going to add is my coconut.
You didn't hear my question because you were blending, but how old are you?
Oh, I am 32. 32 years young with a blue mohawk that makes me smile.
That technically,
this is for our baby boy.
I am old enough to be your father.
You are old enough to be my father, Joel. Yeah. That's okay. That's okay. Most of my friends. So is Ryan, Joel. Don't worry about it. So is Ryan.
I'm not. I like hanging out with younger people. I feel totally comfortable.
And I like hanging out with older people because they're on my maturity level. So, well, sometimes.
No, I'm not.
So now I'm going to add the last ingredient, which is my half a cup of coconut flour. While that's blending, I just have coconut oil. This is just straight up refined coconut oil to spray in the pan. I typically do it in my own mister, but I didn't have it set up. So that way these don't stick. I'm going to prep the pan. We're going to pour the batter in and get these in the oven. And then still, even with my excessive talking and pauses, this is still one of the fastest and most delicious recipes that you can make. So here we go.
All right, we're going to blend it up again. Fire it up for blend number 302.
Yep, 302. Here we go.
Yeah, in the blend tab.
This one's going to go on its own pace and speed. It has its own program to make sure everything's mixed.
Oh, that's kind of nice. Let it do its thing. All right, put a little bit of Pam there into the donut pan. And I guess that means we're about ready to start pouring it here. Again, 8 ingredients is what George says he's using to make this. I like simple. I'm not a big fan of cooking. I just, it's just not me. I'd rather have somebody do it for me. But since I don't have that right now, George, you can come over and cook for me.
This is amazing already, I can tell you. So here you go. You can see the batter.
Okay.
And I'm just I'll move all this stuff out of the way. And I'll show you. It's just we're going to pour it into the donut pan. We're just going to make sure we get a nice even distribution around the pan.
Ooh, look at that.
So we end up with donuts and not, sloppy, whatever would turn out. The other day I was making donuts and I covered the donut part in the middle that makes the hole, and I couldn't get them out of the pan. So we ended up eating them all with like a fork out of the pan.
How much will these rise?
They'll rise a decent amount. They'll come over the pan. They won't be like massive. So paleo baking and stuff along that lines. We have flours and ingredients that will help things rise a lot more. This banana bread, because of the baking powder and baking soda, will rise a little bit. But because there's no acid in the recipe to react with the baking powder or baking soda, you won't get like this massive donut. So they'll turn out pretty well. I tend to leave like in my loaf pan, I tend to leave like an eighth. I'd say an eighth of it. And then when like I'm making a muffin pan, I fill it like 2/3 of the way. Because I've had stuff like bake over and it tastes just as good. It just doesn't look good.
You must be in a constant state of cleaning your kitchen and doing dishes with as much as you cook.
Yeah, and my wife is pregnant, and so she doesn't like doing dishes anymore right now because it like hurts her belly. So I've been trying to be, and I'm one of those people, like I believe in like my space being clean, and so I like clean as I go because I feel like it sets me up to win better. So that helps already, but I'm trying to do it even better now because I don't want her like stressed or her back hurting or having to wash more dishes. So I've been trying to do as much as I can because happy wife equals happy life. And
indeed,
I'm a good husband. So that's what I'm doing.
You are.
So I just want to make sure these are all the same size. Number one, because they look better. And number two, that way they all bake at the same speed and we don't end up with some burnt and some not burnt. And so, and the consistency of this batter is perfect. Nailed it right off the bat. So you'll notice I lick all my utensils a lot. That's just my habit, and I'm totally okay with it. And since I do all the cooking, no one can say anything. So
fair enough.
Here's our donuts.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to pop these in the oven. Then we're going to make our turnover things real quick. So they're just going on the middle rack of the oven. And then these will probably go for about 18 minutes. If you're doing the banana bread in the loaf pan, if it's a silicone loaf pan, it's about 65, 70 minutes. If it's a metal loaf pan, it's about 50. If you're doing muffins, regular size, typically 25 minutes will get you pretty much what you need.
What temperature are you cooking them at?
350. And then you guys will all get this recipe on that link. What's it say? Get a free recipe from George?
Yep, get a free recipe. Again, it's thepaleokitchen.com for those of you watching on Facebook. And if you're on Crowdcast, just the link right below. By the way, if you are on Crowdcast, make sure you mouse over my name and click follow, and also mouse over George's name and click follow so if George does any broadcasts here, you can get notified of his shows.
Joel's gonna pressure me into doing some Crowdcast broadcasts.
Yeah, and while he's doing that, I'm going to show you one other way that you can follow what I'm doing in all live video. I'll let you go ahead and pour that batter. If you will want to be on my free VIP notification service,
yes,
send a text message to 81010. And what's that text message going to be? Well, it's just at Joel Comm. Just put my Twitter. You have to have the at sign in there, at Joel Comm. Send it to 81010. And I'm going to flip-flop this so those of you on Facebook can see it as well. Since I'm capturing from Crowdcast and sending it to Facebook, it's not showing the actual viewer screen. It's showing my broadcaster screen. And so the graphics appear backwards on my screen. So I'm flip-flopping it. Again, if you're on Facebook and you want to get notified of upcoming shows, as many of you who are here today did, that's my Facebook Lives, my Periscopes, my Buskers, my Crowdcasts, as well as interesting Snapchat stories. I'll just send you a text message and let you know when I'm going live or there's something important to see. So to join, send a text message to 81010, and the message you're going to send is at Joel Comm.
I'd like to take credit for that, by the way.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure if you wanted me to say or not, but George turned me on to this, and I'm grateful.
And then can we tell them about my live streams?
Absolutely, right, go for it.
So if you guys want to watch my live streams, which happen way more than they probably should, but I do them a lot. My text is easy. So you're going to text the same number, 81010, and my phrase is at Bacon Hugs. at Bacon Hugs. So a couple of my team members are watching. So if you're on Crowdcast, Emily or Scott, can you please write that out? And if you're on
the same number that you see there on mine,
Yep.
81010, but send at Bacon Hugs.
At Bacon Hugs.
At Bacon Hugs will get you onto George's notification list, so you know when he's going live.
And we send everything to you. You name it, you ask for it, you want it, we give it to you.
Danielle says, I see 2 new investments I need to make this week, a donut pan and a popover pan. You must, is your kitchen really big? I mean, you must have a lot.
I'll give you guys a tour of the kitchen in a minute.
Okay. And we've got about we need to finish up at 1/2
Yep.
the hour.
This is going in the oven, and then the recipe will bake, and then I'll post a picture on my Facebook and my Snapchat and show everybody.
Yeah, and please come to for those watching on Facebook, please come to my Facebook page and post the pictures there as well, so people can see right underneath the video. Oh, yeah, so those of you watching on Facebook, I'm asking George to come post the pictures of the finished product. And George, in fact, if you want to shoot a short video and just post that video, then I can share that as well. Of you taking a bite of one of your delicious creations.
Okay. These are going in the oven.
There they go. They're going in. We're going in. We're going in. So there you go, gang. Easy to bake banana bread donuts and popovers, which will be iced with how are you gonna what are you gonna put on them?
Yeah, so typically what I do is I'll make like my own ganache with Enjoy Life chocolate chips and a little coconut oil. But there's a company that I'm working with now. This woman's awesome. I'll show you the container real quick. Her name is the Date Lady, and I'm addicted to dates. Like, I love dates. Her name is the Date Lady, and she makes date sugar, date caramel syrup, and date chocolate frosting, and using like all dates. And literally, this stuff is life-changing, Joel. I'm going to grab a jar and show you.
Okay, he's going to grab a jar from the Date Lady. It's like, can I get a date with the Date Lady? I'd go on a date with the Date Lady.
You can go on a date with the Date Lady.
I can.
All right, so here, and like, I'm not getting paid for this either, guys. Like, this is legitimate. I just love showing off awesome companies and small businesses. So this is her caramel sauce, and then this is her chocolate spread, which is what will be going on the donuts. And like, I don't know, I grew up in Boston and I was a manager at Dunkin' Donuts. So like, I love chocolate frosting. It was my favorite donut. This is legitimately the same exact texture, consistency. Like, it is just phenomenal. And so, yep, it's perfect.
Nice. So you're going to put that on the donuts when they come out.
I am going to put that on the donuts when they come out.
The picture you will see will be with this on it. And now I've got to taste these.
Yep.
So one question, what model of blend tech do you have there, George?
This is the 725. So actually, I'm a partner with Blendtec, so I get 20% off. So I have a link for that if anybody wants it. It's linked on caveman.live. That's my live stream page with every live stream I've ever done, every coupon code I've ever offered, and anything that I have. So Rob, you can go to caveman.live and you'll see the link to it. It automatically applies that discount.
George, I'm so grateful for you spending time with me. This is George Bryant at Cooking Caveman on Twitter, but he is the Civilized Caveman, New York Times bestselling author, paleo cooking guru expert. How do people join your tribe, George? Yeah,
so that one's easy. So if anybody wants to join the tribe, it is hugsandbacontribe.com. And then the first month, if you use the code caveman, is $5 or $5. And then it's $47 a month after that. And just so everybody knows, there's over $1,000 worth of resources now. There's 4 ebooks, 10 meal plans, 22 downloadable resource guides, daily text messages for support, live video calls, live coaching calls. We have a self-love challenge. We have a morning routine challenge. We have, Joel, I mean, it's amazing. We have like,
sign me up.
We have like 8 people who have quit smoking in the past 38 days. We have people that have made their habit to walk a mile a day for 31 days. And as they got the momentum, they ended up doing 2, 3, and 4 miles a day. I've lost like 35 pounds. People are like, it's just, amazing. So the only rules are really simple because it's part of the Hugs and Bacon. Number one rule is positivity only. And the number two rule is that you have to be willing and ready to take life on. And so what that means is that you don't have to be perfect, but every journey starts with one step at a time. And we aren't here to hold hands. We're here to encourage and give. And one of the biggest ways to grow in this world is to give to other people. It's not about being a victim or being down. It's about being excited and trying new things and pushing the envelope wherever it comes from, either cooking or live streaming or walking or talking or whatever it is that you want to do. And I will say that one of the things, and Joel knows this about Do Good Stuff, negativity is socially contagious. And on the other hand, so is positivity. And so what we do is we create a safe space, and we have people that are working through PTSD, depression, weight loss, divorce, leaving jobs. But no matter what, you always have a safe space and accountability. And Joel, if you don't mind, I want to close with one thing to give everybody a nugget of info. So one of the things that I've learned in my life of overcoming bulimia, losing 100 pounds, losing my dad to cancer, fighting that whole battle, sexual abuse, and more. I've used my whole life story and lessons for the PTSD, witnessing and being in places that I don't want to talk about. There's a really 4 simple ways to live in this world and the simple steps that you take. And this is the mission statement and the core of what I teach in the tribe. And I call it my 4 A's. And the 4 A's are awareness, acceptance, action, and accountability. And when you take those 4 steps, you're set up to win no matter where you go in life. Awareness is just noticing things that come up in your behaviors. Acceptance doesn't mean that you're happy where you are. It means you have a starting line to move forward. See, when we're in denial, we can't see our path or map because we're so focused on what we don't like. But when we accept the situation, we have a starting line to move forward. Action is taking action towards it, and accountability is the socially contagious. Everybody come in the Hugs and Bacon tribe, and whenever you need anything, we are there for you for life. We got the hashtag started by members. Hugs and Bacon Tribe for Life is their hashtag that we're going, and we're actually going to be doing a Hugs and Bacon conference. We're starting to work on and plan out. So we're going to make it a religion, and everybody gets to win.
I love it. George Bryant, here's his website. The paleokitchen.com will take you to get this free recipe from him. Of course, follow him. See right there, the download now link. That's what you want to do.
Yep.
Follow him on the Twitters, and make sure you come back to both of our pages later, and you'll be able to see photos of the donuts. So, hey, George, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me, Joel. I'm super stoked. I will send you an email with all your login and everything that you need.
Send me your address and your t-shirt size again, and I will personally make sure that gets into your hands.
I will. I'll write it down this time. I'll remind myself to make sure that I give it to you and I send it to the right email address this time, just in case it was my fault.
Perfect. We're good. All right. And also for those of you watching, 2 things, as we mentioned, Do Good Stuff. The Do Good Stuff journal is officially out. It's available. It is. I'll show you in my hand here in a moment, but this is on Amazon.com. And it's actually number 28 in all journals right now. It hit number 17 yesterday, but you can get this blank book in 2 different colors, and I'll show that to you in a moment. If you go to Amazon, just look for Do Good Stuff. And the other thing is the t-shirt campaign ends at Teespring tomorrow. So if you want a classic Do Good Stuff shirt, or if you want to get a long sleeve in multiple colors, or perhaps a woman's shirt. Look at this. We even got girly colors. There's the pink, there's the blue, there's the woman's V-neck in black, pink, and purple, and there is the woman's tank top in charcoal, pink, and blue. And if you'll just go to comm.us/shirt, I've actually embedded a 20% off discount code for you on those. comm.us/shirt will take you there. Here's the these are the Do Good Stuff journals, and they're cute little blank books. This is my 13th easiest book I've ever written, because you're my co-author on this book, gang. You get this book, you write in it, guess what? We will have written a book together. Thanks again, George. Appreciate you. And we will see you in the online worlds. For the rest of you, be sure to join me for the next episode of the Joel Comm Show with Social Fans. That's going to take place.
Bryant Fanzo.
Yeah, next Wednesday, 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific. The short link to get there is comm.us, comm.us/JC7. On behalf of myself and my special guest, George Bryant, we're out of here telling you guys to go do good stuff. All right, we'll see ya.